In the headlines, ASU suspends 8-month-old strike, says dispute with government not satisfactorily addressed. National Security Council orders fresh action against IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. Court nullifies APC governorship primary in Adamawa State. And on the foreign scene, United States announces new $725 million military assistance package for Ukraine. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Dashan Hussaina Usman. And we'll begin with education, where the Academic Staff Union of Universities has finally suspended the strike it embarked upon on February 14, 2022. The union decided to suspend the strike during a meeting of its leadership that started on Thursday night and lasted into the early hours of Friday. In a statement by the president of the union, Emmanuel Osodeke, ASU said the decision followed a series of appeals by Nigerians, President Muhammadu Buhari, and the intervention of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila. The Court of Appeal had ordered ASU to suspend the strike before its appeal of the ruling ordering lecturers to resume work can be heard. Members of the union's National Executive Council meeting committee, which comprises the chairman of the state chapters and members of the National Executive, attended the meeting at the ASU National Secretariat in Abuja. Students and Jos residents have expressed joy over the suspension of the 8-month-old strike by ASU, saying it is a welcome development. Some of the students told Trust TV's Ado Musa that the strike has taken them backward and far from their expected year of graduation. The report.
Since ASU began its strike on February 14, the entire Jos University environment looked deserted, with no activities, including businesses, as students have returned to their various homes. Aside security personnel who are going round to secure school properties, one hardly sees people moving around the school premises for any engagement. Residents and students of University of Jos speak on the development.
When I had the information that school was resuming, I was very excited because, at least I'll get to pursue my academic career and then make my parents proud.
I was shocked when I heard that the strike has been called off. But one of the most painful things is that the condition, they say that they have suspended conditionally. That means that there is something.
That is very, very welcome development, and we find it very interesting and happy. Definitely this 8 months strike has not been easy with the parents and the students all together. We have sisters, we have brothers, we have cousins, and a lot of families and relatives who are running a university's program. And this 8-month long strike has destabilized them. It's in fact disturbed their academic schedules and pursuits.
Jos residents and university students, however, hope that the suspension should remain, explaining that the strike brings nothing positive but taking the country a step backward. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
The National Security Council has discussed the decision of the appeal court to discharge leader of the indigenous people of Biafra of the 7-count terrorism charge pending against him before the Federal High Court in Abuja. Though the council did not disclose details of the discussion, it clarified that it did not discuss a political solution to the matter. The council, which met on Friday at State House Abuja, also clarified that it had not granted any subnational government leave to import weapons, as there were protocols to be met in doing so. Kende Amodu reports.
The Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, in government's first official reaction to the appeal court ruling, had said Nnamdi Kanu was discharged but not acquitted, and that government would review its legal options. It could indicate that the IPOB leader will not be released despite Thursday's Court of Appeal judgment, and it seems the Security Council is towing the same line.
Solutions to issues of this nature can be considered provided they are not substitute and they are within the context of the law.
Meanwhile, A meeting between Governor of Kogi State and Chairman of the Dangote Group has been brokered by the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari. Following the meeting, the National Security Council is insisting that pending the legal settlement of the dispute between both parties, the Abajana cement factory should be reopened.
Nobody must take law into their hands, either as a government or an individual. We are committed to guaranteeing and providing employment for Nigerians. So whatever will in any way hinder that or impede that must be discouraged. So
the council also responded to an ultimatum given to the federal government to give a state government security outfit the permission to arm its state's security outfit.
There is a procedure for whoever wants to legally bring in any weapon to follow.
Meanwhile, in line with its policy of de-radicalizing former insurgents, Chief of Defense Staff General Lucky Rabo had said 101 ex-militants had been moved into the Operation Safe Haven facility.
These were ex-combatants that have been in detention for several years, some of whom have served their terms. Others were those that were waiting trial, but because of the long time they've been involved, and in line with the protocol, the procedure for handling anyone who has been exposed to terrorism and related offenses, the procedure for them to be taken through a process of de-radicalization.
The council has given the Nigerian military and security forces a pat on the back for the successes so far recorded in restoring peace and order across Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari is giving the commendation with a proviso that the forces must sustain the tempo of operations. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
In politics, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has expressed optimism that the ruling People's Democratic Party in Oyo State is in good standing ahead of the 2023 general elections. Makinde said this while receiving thousands of decampees from other political parties in a ceremony held at the Lekan Salami Stadium, Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. He vowed to sustain the tempo of good governance that has attracted highly rated and resourceful politicians from various political parties into the PDP fold and urged both fresh and old members of the People's Democratic Party to work in unity for the overall success of the party in the 2023 general elections. Representatives of the decampees from the African Democratic Congress and All Progressives Congress pointed at the development policy and programs of the Makinde-led administration as the reason for their action.
I'm extremely excited today, seeing the mammoth crowd of some of my followers, not even all, that have come to defect from APC to PDP, coming from Okeogun, Ibarapa, Oyo, Ogbomoso, Ibadan, both Ibadan and Anambra City.
Good work of the government. I mean, we've been together doing the coalition, and I've been watching him. Even people of Oyo State take it to me that he has performed excellently well. So why wouldn't I support him to continue with the good job? Only if I have my own interest, then I will support him.
Look at it. Look at what is going on with our people. You know, we are expecting more people to join us. The members of APC, they are free to come and join us. We are looking forward to it. So, I mean, this is all about our people. It's not about us. And again, I don't abuse people. I do issues-based politics. I don't need to be abusive.
Allegations of plots to remove chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has sent many tongues wagging. The Coalition of United Political Parties said the plot is in a bid to rig the 2023 elections. In this report, Sagir Ibrahim speaks to experts who shared their opinion in the allegations. Take a look.
The former INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner, Emeka Onanamadu, and Executive Director of the Center for Transparency Advocacy, Faith Nwadishi, called on Nigerians not to dismiss the allegations made by the Coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP.
One thing the Nigerian media should understand is that there is no smoke without fire. It is important and instructive to note that over the past 5 years down the line, there is incremental achievements that have been recorded, which all of us could see during the concluding part of continuous voter registration exercise.
The CUPP alleged that having not received the approval of INEC leadership to have the beavers deactivated, these politicians have now activated the move to remove the INEC leadership. It is scarier because we are aware of INEC's attempt to clean up the voter register. There was no public knowledge of what the security agents did on the first allegation.
They, however, called on the relevant authorities to act fast so as to protect the progress made so far by the nation's electoral umpire.
CTA therefore strongly condemns such plans and urged Nigerians to rally around INEC and its current leadership to resist any attempt to stop the use of the BVS machines, as well as protect INEC chairman and national commissioners from any form of intimidation, harassment, and undue pressure.
Nigerians are coming out and willing because of the deployment of beavers. What fear does to participation in Nigerian election process is huge, and it is important for us to begin now to douse those fears, to douse those tensions.
The group also called on political parties and their candidates to commit to the new Electoral Act and its provisions and refrain from using hate speech and other mechanisms capable of heating up the polity. Sagir Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Abuja.
In crime, police in Ondo State have arrested a 42-year-old businessman, Kelechuku Onuka, for the murder of his wife, Nnenna, over a dispute relating to an unexplained 10 million naira. The man in the incident, which occurred at their residence in Aratunsi area of Okearo, Akure, reportedly accused his wife of hiding the money from him. A family source said the disputed money was sent to the victim by one of her relations who resides abroad for a building project. The crux of the matter, according to the source, was because he got the information elsewhere after the wife failed to mention who sent the money and for what purpose. Reports say the suspect confronted his wife and a heated argument ensued, following which he reportedly hit her with a heavy object on the head and she died instantly. On security, Zamfara state government has announced a total shutdown of 3 local government areas of the state to tackle insurgents of terrorist attacks, killings and abductions of innocent citizens. The 3 affected local government areas are Anka, Bukuyum and Gumi. A statement by the State Commissioner for Information, Ibrahim Dosara, said also affected is the restriction of movement order in some towns and villages such as Birnin Tudu, Rini and Goranamaye, among others. The statement said the state government has suspended all political activities with immediate effect till further notice. According to the state government, these stringent security measures were taken based on recommendations of the state's Security Council to curtail the renewed activities of the terrorists across the state. Students of the Special Education Center Gombe have cried out for help due to dilapidated structures and poor living conditions in their hostel. The students urged Governor Inuaya Hayat to look into their plight and address the infrastructural and landscaping problem which has prevented easy movement in the school premises, especially for the blind students. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail reports.
Located in the heart of Gombe, The state capital, this is the only special education center owned by the Gombe State government. The school comprises primary, junior and senior secondary school sections and caters for blind and deaf students. Despite being the only public special school, the center has one of the most dilapidated structures, creating an untold hardships for these students with special needs. Honestly, we submit some of the problems to Allah. We plead with the government to address food problem, security, shortage of teachers, and accommodation. Some animals' ranch are better than these rooms. It seems we are marginalized. Government have been visiting other schools, but the governor has never visited the special school.
We are facing some problem in this school, like the lack of teachers, mattresses, and beds, and we don't have a sufficient accommodation that we are staying.
Landscaping, dilapidated classrooms, poor hostel environment, and unhygienic toilets are the major problems these students are facing, making their already difficult situation unbearable.
In terms of environment and the location, the school requires serious attention from the government so as to fix the environmental challenges facing the school. The government should institute a committee, first of all, to go and assess the situation of the school.
The State Ministry of Education said the state government is aware of the poor condition at the Special Education Center and understands the unique learning needs of each student.
Even the nature of classroom, because of the challenges they have and the material they need and the equipment they need, they differ from other, it differs from other normal schools. So these are issues that we were able to take up with the Northeast Educational Fund, which the fund is willing to intervene to address most of the challenges that they are having.
Gombe State has a total of 155 secondary schools, out of which 20 are boarding schools, including the special school. The hope of these special students is for Governor Inwa Yahya to capture their needs in the 2023 budget to give them a sense of belonging. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
You're watching Trust News Update. Coming up after the break. Story of inhabitants of Abuja uncompleted buildings. Do stay with us.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining us, you're watching Trust News Update. Here's a recap of some of our top stories. We told you that ASU suspends 8-month-old strike, says dispute with government not satisfactorily addressed. We also told you that National Security Council orders fresh action against IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. Moving to other news, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, says Ogun State has the highest record of deaths of children between the ages of 0 to 5 years in the southwestern part of the country. A survey conducted highlighted the rate of neonatal mortality, infant mortality, underaged 5 mortality, and postnatal care for newborns, among others. The survey is part of the multiple indicator cluster survey 6 results conducted by the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics in collaboration with UNICEF and other partners in 2021. Abbas Alibi has the report.
Mohammed Okori, the social policy specialist of UNICEF, quoting the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, said the survey estimated that 56 out of 1,000 children between the ages of 0 to 11 months died after birth in Ogun State.
It's also very instructive to say that government actually lead this research. The National Bureau of Statistics is actually at the top of it, you know, with the different states Bureau of Statistics, and then having other development partners, others join. So it's actually government using government data, verifiable data, to come up with this research. And at the end of the day, this data also goes back to government, because this is supposed to inform programming. It's also supposed to inform resource allocation, because you look at where your problems are, where the deprivations exist, and then you plan your resources accordingly to be able to achieve results.
He said Ekiti State recorded the second position in the neonatal mortality, with a record of 53 out of 1,000 children, and followed by Oyo State with a record of 31 deaths out of 1,000 children. Other than that, the Ondo State witnessed 18 deaths out of 1,000 children. Osun State recorded 12 deaths out of 1,000 children.
Now, the data is really critical, because this is the data with which we measure our progress towards the achievement of the SDGs.
The UNICEF social policy specialist stated further that 68 out of 1,000 children between the ages of 0 to less than 1 year also died after their birth in Ogun State. He explained that Ekiti State ranked second on the infant mortality chart with a record of 67 deaths out of 1,000 children, and Oyo State followed with a record of 40 deaths out of 1,000 children. Other than that, Ondo State witnessed 31 deaths out of 1,000 children, Osun State recorded 17 deaths out of 1,000 children, and Lagos State recorded 15 deaths out of 1,000 children delivered. Dr. Ijeoma Agbo, a health specialist with UNICEF Lagos Field Office, disclosed that the child mortality rate in Ogun State is worrisome and unacceptable.
Well, when we looked at a comparison of the indicators across the southwest states, we can see that Ogun State has performed suboptimally in different indicators. If you look at institutional delivery in Ogun State, is quite low. When you look at the mortality rates, 1 in 20 children will die before their 5th birthday. This is unacceptable. No child is expected to die, especially from deaths that are preventable. When you go on to even look at immunization, the Penta 3 coverage is very low at 41% and Penta 1 coverage at 60-something%. These are all interventions that, if they are implemented within birth to 5 years of age in children, definitely you will not have them dying from preventable deaths. A lot needs to be done, and UNICEF is committed to supporting the state in that regard.
The data indicates that Ogun State is ranked the highest in terms of deaths of children between 0 to 5 years, with a record of 85 deaths out of 1,000 children. Abbas Ibrahim Alibi, Trust TV, Lagos.
The FCT minister recently sealed the 3-story uncompleted building in Abuja, which was reportedly abandoned for a long time, posing a security threat to people around the area. In this report, Noel Sampson takes a look at the dangers uncompleted buildings pose to the society and also finds out who are those squatters living in such places. The report.
A squatter is a person who lives on a property to which you have no title, right, or lease, just as it is seen in some uncompleted buildings in Abuja. However, most of these squatters end up in such places due to financial difficulties.
Squatters are not a security threat. There are some citizens that are challenged in one way or the other and are looking for abode to cover, especially in this rainy season. There are numerous reasons why people become squatters. Some are economic problems, some it's because there is no accommodation in the city, and some stay in the satellite town. They cannot afford a means of transportation to their area, for instance.
Yeah, well, we are staying here. Normally, there's no problem really, because there's a vigilante and we have some police living here so far. There's some police accommodating because of the problem of accommodation in our FCT. So there's police here, really.
People living around these uncompleted buildings have mixed reactions concerning the situation.
No, they are not treating us, but the place is kind of like, it's kind of bad place and it's kind of good place because there are many type of people inside there.
Those people are not threats to any government or any society or any community. They are there helping themselves to live, to survive.
Police force, however, said abandoned uncompleted buildings are usually seen as hidden places for hoodlums and miscreants, where they convert buildings into crime havens from which they plan and launch their criminal missions.
They are a security threat, and what the Commissioner of Police, FCT, CP Babaji Sunday, has directed all the DPOs to clean up all their areas of AOR from all the insecurity that has been lingering around, and that is part of what he mandated them to do, to raid all the uncompleted buildings, and including the abandoned buildings. And we've been raiding every night we've been raiding, day and night actually, and we've made a lot of arrests. We profile them. Those who are found wanting will be charged to court, and those who are not found wanting, they will be released.
However, squatters in this building are pleading to the FCT administration to please come up with a project where masses will be able to afford a place to call a home in the federal capital. They said they may have bad eggs amongst them, but there are some that are genuinely working hard to earn a living. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
On the foreign scene, the United States will send Ukraine an additional $725 million package of weapons and other military assistance as Washington added to a flurry of aid announcements from European allies this week amid Russia's renewed missile attacks on Kyiv and other targets. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said in a statement on Friday that the aid follows in the wake of Russia's brutal missile attacks on civilians across Ukraine and the mounting evidence of atrocities by Russia's forces. As Ukrainian defenders push back Russia's forces, the U.S. stands united with Ukraine. Washington's U.S. military package includes more ammunition for high-mobility artillery rocket systems and brings the total U.S. military assistance to Ukraine to $18.3 billion since the start of Joe Biden's administration. And with this, we've come to the end of Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Husseina Usman. Thanks for watching.